All right, hello and welcome everyone. Like always, we wait a couple of seconds so everyone can join the stream. All right, I can see that we got our first few viewers here. So yeah, let's kick off. So hello and welcome everyone to today's new and AI stream. Like always, we've gathered the most interesting news from the past couple of days. There's really some exciting things today, basically like every week. But yeah, let's jump right into it. All right, so the first thing is research that was published from Meta AI. And this is pretty interesting because until now, language models have, especially like instruction-based language models, have been trained with human feedback. But of course, this human feedback has some major limitations. Um, you only have a specific amount of humans. Humans can only rate a specific amount of generated answers. Yeah, and maybe the model can actually be smarter than humans, and then many problems arise through this. And now we have this new research from Meta AI, so we will go over the abstract really quick. So to achieve superhuman agents, future models require superhuman feedback in order to provide an adequate training signal. Current approaches commonly train reward models from human preferences, which may be bottlenecked by human performance levels. Like basically just what I said. Um, Now they basically come up with this new approach where they use the language model itself as this LLM as a judge kind of approach to provide its own rewards during training. And then the result of this is fine-tuning Llama 2 70 billion parameters on 3 iterations of our approach yields a model that outperforms many existing systems on the Alpaca Eval 2.0 leaderboard, including Claude 2, Gemini Pro, and GPT-4, which is a very big statement because, yeah, especially GPT-4 model is way, way bigger than a 70 billion parameter model. And yeah, achieving this through only 3 iterations of this process is very impressive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we would also need to see what the alpaca eval to it's, because we've learned with these type of papers that it's always specifically like very well crafted the type of like it surpasses X and Y on this,
Hmm,
right?
hmm.
But everything else then turns out to maybe not be as we would expected, right?
Yeah, that's true. Um, but yeah, this is still a very interesting approach to this problem. Yeah, and I hope we will see very powerful models that are trained with this approach very soon. We also heard that Meta is training Llama 3 in the background. So yeah, they might be using this approach for Llama 3, which could be very exciting if we have an open source model that outperforms GPT-4 on a couple of benchmarks.
I mean, I like yeah, I definitely think this to some level mitigates this problem that like the we can bottleneck the performance based on our performance, right?
Yeah.
But I think the problem itself, like still, it's a problem for two reasons. First, that we still kind of like hold back the performance of models on on because these LLMs that are being used as a judge for these other LLM were like judged by humans, right? So from my perspective, there's still some like inherent like reduction on the performance, and like this is still going to propagate to the other
Hmm, hmm.
trained system, right? And B is that LLMs are not yet like superhuman. Well, like actually, I saw a post and I had a very interesting conversation about this. That yes, sure, LLMs are like great and like it allows us to become like super productive and like 10 the whatever profession is that we're we're currently doing, like, we become empowered, right? Empower was a very nice word that was used, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think it achieves this like superhuman level, right? It's not something we can't do it rather better done or slight or faster. hmm
Hmm.
But like all the code that it can give me, I can still write it. Like maybe it's gonna take me a little longer, definitely longer, but it's not nothing above my human capabilities.
Hmm.
And I think we're approaching, not like it's gonna come out tomorrow, but once we have like these sort of superhuman, like actually superhuman AI that's able to do things that a human just can't, other like and other than like in terms of time, which I think it's the case right now, then that's when this problem really becomes relevant, like or like this situation becomes well, impactful. hmm because there won't be anything to really judge again this technology,
Hmm.
right? So, but yeah, that's still to be seen, right? It's not the situation we are currently, but I think this is where this problem is going to become like the biggest headache that researchers and developers can have, right? But
Yeah.
that's my point of view.
Yeah. Yeah. We also have an implementation of this paper as a GitHub repository. The link is also down in the description if you want to check it out. Yeah, and of course we can also kind of do this with other models than the llama model. So yeah, I'm also very excited to see yeah, what kind of models will actually be created with this approach. Yeah, all right. The next thing is also very exciting. We have a new release from Stability AI. Yeah, they they got famous through their creation of Stable Diffusion, which was like the first very good open source image generation model, and still is. And now they have released the language model, a very small language model, which is kind of similar to the size of Mixtral or this Phi model, or also the Yi model. Yeah, and it's very cool. You have multilingual capabilities, so English, Spanish, German, Italian, French, Portuguese, and Dutch. It's very small, so it will run on most consumer hardwares, which opens up a lot of possibilities to create really exciting applications. There's a normal, just base version that can be fine-tuned, and they also released the instruction-tuned version, which is super cool for like, yeah, instructions, chats, things like this. Um, yeah, and it's available for free, open source. The only thing that you have to do is kind of register for the Stability AI membership, which is very easy. So yeah, that's very cool. We can also have a look at the Open LLM leaderboard right here. Um, so yeah, you can see these other small models. So we have Phi2. Yeah, and in comparison to these models, the Stability AI model comes very close to the other results. We also have this benchmark right here on all these benchmarks for different languages. Yeah, and you can also see that it performs pretty well in comparison to other models. For example, the older Mistral model, so not the Mixtral model, but the Mistral model. We have, yeah, the versions of StableLM. Yeah, then the Phi model and also some other things. So yeah, I think it's always cool to see these releases, also from Stability AI. It's not as good as other models. So for example, here you can see all the capabilities in different fields. And you can see that Mistral is still better than the stable LM, but yeah, it's very good for the parameter size. So Mistral has 7 billion and this stable LM only has 1.6 billion. So yeah, I think it's still performing very well regarding the parameter size.
Yeah, it's in general very nice to see, which I think we discussed at some point, this this new trend, if you want to call it that way, that more people are working on smaller models
Mm-hmm.
that are nice, like it perform great, right? It stops being linear, the relation between size and performance. Like Mistral might not be 7 times better than this one, right?
Yeah.
Just because it's 7 times bigger. So of course it's still a big thing that the bigger model it is, the bigger the model is, the better it performs. But we have seen definitely some shift to a degree in research to make these smaller models better,
Mm-hmm.
because which I think has great implications, because also having a very nice conversation about how frustrating is that this whole AI thing, it's super relevant for everybody, yet access to compute is so limited. hmm So
Mm-hmm.
A is so limited in the sense that there's just not enough EPUs to run what everybody wants to run, and B, if there are, then it's super expensive, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So working and focusing on this type of size of models really like has an impact on this. Like it makes slightly easier. Like you said, this probably runs on most devices. So I think that's great, and like I said, it has great implications. So also, I think in general in the startup environment, we're also seeing a shift towards stop using these gigantic models, which are like not everybody can develop, right? So that's why
Mm-hmm.
there's so
Mm-hmm.
few of them, and it's just by giants like OpenAI or Google. And to use these smaller models to perform a specific task, probably fine tune most of the time, and you can achieve very comparable. Forgot the word. Performance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Very cool to see this. Yeah. All right. Let's jump over to the next thing, which is also very exciting. So I guess a lot of people have already seen this by now on some kind of platform, but yeah, I still want to discuss this a little bit, because it's kind of a shift into away from phones to other devices, and the overall form and capabilities of these devices aren't very clear yet. So yeah, I think like 1 or 2 months ago we saw this release right here of the Humane AI pin, which was this small device with this projector thing. Yeah, that had basically AI built in. It could answer questions. It was basically a very smart assistant, you could say. Yeah, but now we have this release right here from, I guess the company is called Rabbit, and the device is called R1. Yeah, they promote it here as Pocket Companion, which is pretty fitting, I think. Um, yeah, so what exactly is this? So it's basically also AI assistant that can do multiple things. It has a camera, which opens up a lot of possibilities. It has a microphone, and I think there's much more. So we have a 360-degree camera, which is very cool. Scroll wheel, USB-C plus SIM card. SIM card is also very important for like mobile, on-the-go, um, yeah, data. I think it also had a GPS sensor, yeah, location. So yeah, you have GPS. So yeah, these are all kind of sensors that open up a lot of possibilities when you have them on the go, always with you. Yeah, here you can see some more dimensions. And I think the most interesting thing about this is actually this operating system. So they call it like AI native operating systems. And they use this large action model to actually do things on the behalf of the user, which is pretty cool. Um, yes, so things like this. So like logging in can easily be done through this large action model. Yeah, settings, journal, lots of things, music, rideshare, food. So these are all things that you could basically do on your mobile phone, but now you can basically do them through natural language. We have to keep in mind that this device is not released yet, and you can only pre-order it right now. Pre-orders are actually sold out, but yeah, it will be very exciting to see what this thing can actually do in the end when it's released and shipped. Yeah, what do you
Is
think about
there?
this in
Do
general?
you know if there's a date for, or expected date for the release of this?
I don't think so.
Uh,
So
I
yeah.
am always very. Oh, I forgot the word, but I don't know what's going on with me today. I keep forgetting words. But like I skeptical. I'm very skeptical, right? I
Hmm.
feel like I'm always talking down the super cool things that we see in this section, but I don't know. It's the type of things that it's super cool. It looks super cool. It looks so cool that like personally like triggers red flags that like there's no way like this is still like we're at that stage, right?
Hmm.
I feel like if we were at that stage, we would be seeing some other like very cool stuff. Like I like the fact that I always like the action models, so large action models. Every time I see that in something, it's like okay, cool. I'm interested in that.
Hmm.
But this demo that we saw about making pictures with the Mid Journey bot, it's like what's the name? It has like the learning feature or something like that, right? That the guy just teach like open the camera and showed the device how to do it, and then the device is now able to perform that action. Mhm.
Uh-huh.
It makes sense in terms of the way action like large action models work, but what my brain can like I can't wrap my head around is the size of the hardware. hmm Like if I'm not mistaken, I might be wrong, but if I'm not mistaken, like it said that everything runs on the device.
Hmm.
Huh?
Hmm.
And it's too small. Like what does this device has that's able to like run this, which in theory should be a very big model, right? So that's what I just can't finish to understand. I'm very curious. I would pre-order it for
Hmm.
sure,
Hmm.
but I would like have my expectations not as high as I would if I didn't have know all of this. But in general, it looks super cool. Like it looks very very cool. So if if it's actually a thing uh, remotely close to the claim, sorry, then it's gonna be uh, I think borderline game changer.
Hmm. Hmm.
Plus, I always like this type of gadgets. There was this thing called Flipper Zero. Zero. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah, it's like this hacking
Yeah,
device, right?
exactly. It's like this tiny hacking device to anything that sends waves. So I love that thing. So I think this is along the lines of this, of course, not for hacking, but I really like this type of gadget. So imagine it's like that flipper in like asteroids, right? It can see, it can talk, it can perform actions. Crazy. But I really like it. Like I really like the whole concept, the whole idea that this brings.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder that all these home assistants like Alexa or I think there's one for Apple, right? They're just gonna become outdated if these things actually become a thing.
Hmm. Yeah.
So so
Actually,
yeah, but it's pretty yeah,
I have a Google Home at home, and it's just the Google Assistant on some hardware. And it already feels outdated because large language models are pretty old by now. These kind of assistants did not receive any updates. They're not communicating with large language models. I'm actually very curious why Google has not done this yet, like change up their entire assistance thing.
totally
Same
agree.
for Apple and Amazon. They all have their
Yes.
own. So I'm not sure if Apple has a language model. I think not, but at least for Google, they have like Gemini now or Bard or whatever they can afford to run for these kinds of assistants. But yeah, these
Yeah,
assistants definitely need an upgrade. But you're completely right when you say that this might be a very simple kind of question answer gadget or a super useful assistant when it actually releases. So yeah, we don't know.
yeah. I agree with you. Like I remember when I first knew about GPT, the first thing I Googled was if somebody develop a skill in Alexa
Hmm. Hmm.
and to use it. And there was something there. I don't remember why I didn't dig deeper into that, but it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy that Alexas are still at the stage or Siri that like, hey, can you do this? Sorry, I can't do that. Sorry, I didn't understand. Sorry, you need to unlock your phone to do that. It's like, oh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like, and then we have things like GPT. I was telling you the other day. and I used it to translate at the bank as a bank, but we didn't speak the same language at all,
Hmm.
and I just pulled that the phone off and the conversation like feature in, and we were just like entirely use GPT to translate everything. Not even the Google Translate would have done that. Like Google Translate is super bad when it comes to speaking, and then you
Hmm.
have to click these and select the languages, and then it
Hmm.
doesn't hear something, and it's a mess. So yeah, all of these things are definitely becoming outdated. And if these type of devices that we're looking at the screen are the next step of that, then I'm very very excited to see what's to come, right?
Yeah.
But again, I would keep my expectations a little bit lower, uh, because it's the type of thing that really looks too cool to be true, at least in my opinion. But we'll see, right? I
Yeah.
might be proven wrong, and this might be the next like biggest thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
So let's see.
Yeah. I mean, maybe most of these things can already be achieved through just a simple app on your phone. You don't really need a new hardware device because your phone also has GPS, your phone has a camera, your phone has a screen, your phone has like mobile data connection. So yeah, we will see how useful these things will actually be in the future. But yeah, we will see. Um, all right, let's jump over to our next thing. So yeah, now we enter the kind of research or yeah, projects section of this new AI stream. So this is a GitHub repository from Tencent Research. So this is Photo Maker, customizing realistic human photos. It's super cool because let's have a look right here. You just have to input one or more images of yourself. The more the better, basically, but one photo is enough. And then with a prompt, you can generate like all of these different things. Yeah, with your face in there and the kind of, how can you say this, the translation quality from your input image to the output images that are modified with a prompt is really well done. So yeah, you can see right here already in this result, like it really looks like this person and not like somebody else. And this has been a problem with other approaches to this. And yeah, super cool to see this repository. It's also a space on Hugging Face. So this is just an example right here. You can input like 5 images, add a prompt. So Instagram photo, portrait of a woman, colorful, perfect face. Yeah, you can just submit and then you get like 2 results right here. You just have to wait a couple of seconds for a GPU to become available. Um, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's just insane how the lack of availability of this in nowadays space, right?
Mhm. But really think this is a very cool approach. Like, imagine just taking one image of yourself and then, you can change this image to anything you'd like. Example, like you need a LinkedIn profile pic, but you don't have a very professional looking image ready to go. You just add a prompt, wait a couple of seconds, and then you have a image that looks professional.
I
Um,
mean, it's not a new concept. Like we already had these apps that did exactly what you're describing, right? It's for headshots. At least the issue I had with those, that I always wanted to try them, but then it was like, please upload 300 pictures of yourself in different angles.
mhm,
And it's like I barely have like one selfie in my phone, so I just didn't have. I literally didn't have enough pictures of myself to use it. Like
yeah,
that was literally the thing that stopped me. And then it was like you can't just take pictures because if it's the same, like on the same place, then it doesn't count them. It was very troublesome for me, right? But this is like I see borderline the same performance in the pictures, and it's just 5 pictures. So I think that's cool.
yeah, very impressive. And yeah, it's open. It's like you said, like some of these or most of these applications had some problems, yeah, either with uploading images or it's like some paid plan thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this makes it super easy right here. Yeah, you can also check out the link in the description to all the viewers if you're interested in watching this. Um, yeah, super cool to see this. Let's hop over to our next thing. Um, which is a privacy first coding assistant. I just want to highlight this really quick because this seems really already developed. So most of these projects are kind of a work in progress, but this is very nice because you already have a VS Code extension that you can just install, which is very nice. And it is compatible with Olama, so it makes it super easy to set up. You just start Olama. The only thing that you have to do is specify where your local language model is running, and then you have access to all these features. So AI chat, explain code, generate tests, find bugs, or diagnose errors, which is really cool. Yeah, especially if you want to kind of keep all your data private, you don't want to share your code. Um, that I guess this is just a really good thing to use instead of GitHub Copilot or GitHub Copilot Chat.
So it's a wall between you and the model itself, right?
It's basically just the extension, and then the extension accesses the model on your local host. So
Okay.
everything is within your bounds.
Interesting. Yeah, very nice. Privacy thing is always a big topic when it comes to using language models for whatever thing, actually, not only those that you would think. Yeah, obviously you need privacy and some other compliance there. No, pretty much everything you do with this, at least again in the startup environment, you're always gonna have some headache trying
Yeah,
to
yeah,
improve your privacy, right?
yeah. That's true. That's why I'm also hyped for this research right here, and also this kind of trend going towards smaller models. Like, imagine if at some point we had a model that is as good as GPT-4 encoding right now, which you can just run locally, and you don't have to share anything with OpenAI. Like currently, I'm not
Yeah.
really afraid to share my code because, yeah, it's not really interesting or super private. But still, I would rather just keep it on my machine, not share it anywhere, and still have great like auto completion and yeah, text chat about my code.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's like tons of people working on very specific areas that can't benefit from AI because maybe their code like it's bound to certain non-disclosure agreements because
Hmm.
maybe
Hmm.
it's government stuff, that kind of things, and they just can't use this, right? So, and that affects a lot the performance, right? If I didn't have LLMs, it would take me like 2 months to do what I do in an hour,
Hmm.
but so yeah, these type of things, right?
Yeah.
um Also, we have a very interesting application in our product, if you want to see it that way, in the current cohort in Gaia. So for those who don't know, that's our startup accelerator in Saudi Arabia, which it's basically a program. I'm not super knowledgeable on it, but the idea is that you can upload anything and it takes care of redacting anything that could consider private information before passing into the LLM, and it passes generic like statements like that document that person instead of names and stuff,
Okay, that's pretty
and
cool.
it generates something and then gives it back and then like fits it with the proper information, the actual information that it redacted, and then it gives you, well, your generation with all the information, but it took care of regulating this exchange of sensitive information, which I think it's super cool, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, it's a pretty interesting idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, super cool. All right. Then the last thing I want to showcase is just another kind of GitHub project. Um, but I think it's very cool. So basically, what is this? It's a pipeline to go from a written text to an MP3 podcast, and at the same time also do an MP4 video. So you can go from your script or blog article or whatever to a podcast um, through voice synthesis with what are they called? LLMs. Yeah, and also image generation for the video, and then you will get a nice YouTube video to upload. And I think this is a very good example for what's possible today. Because you have all these different kind of mediums that you can upload. For example, you have text, you have short videos for YouTube, you have longer videos for YouTube, you have podcasts, and the list goes on and on and on. It would be really nice if you can just write a script for something, and then every other medium other than text is created pipeline, and then you can just upload everything to all your channels, and people can enjoy the content in whatever medium they like, which is very interesting. And I hope we will see more in this direction. Yeah, so we can just really focus on the text, focus on really what's important, and everything else will just be kind of automated in some pipeline. Yeah, which is a really interesting concept.
Yeah, this sounds pretty cool. I just can see already that this is going to be expensive to use. Um, because in general, using DALI 3 and then on top of that, 11 apps and then on top of that, something else, it
Hmm.
quite
Hmm.
can run quite the bill. If you're using for content, because there's people that publish content every day, right?
Yeah,
It's multiple things, so it can become expensive. So just be aware of that. But yeah, it's pretty cool, like you said, to have this like pipeline taken care by AI, which is definitely doable at this stage.
yeah,
So it's cool to see projects like this.
yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to showcase this really quick. Um, yes, so if you want to check it out in detail or use it for your own project, you can also find the link down in the description. And with that, we are at the end. So yeah, if you found this interesting or you want to kind of learn these technologies, we have some hackathons coming up. So we have the Phi 2 technology, which is very fitting because it's also, yeah, it's a small model, but you can create big applications with it. And we also have the custom GPTs hackathon coming up. So if you're interested in working with OpenAI technology, um, yeah, make sure to sign up here, build great applications, and learn a lot while doing so. All right, I guess that's everything for today. We will have our next stream on the next Tuesday. So yeah, stay tuned for this. Yeah, I wish everyone a nice rest of the day. Yeah, and bye bye.